Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You know, I have to apologize to everybody because we didn't have a show last night. I wasn't going to do a show at all this weekend because I have some stuff that I needed to do early in the week, but we decided to go ahead and pop on here and do one tonight, and I think I've got one that I'm going to do tomorrow night. I was just going to take this weekend off and then come back next weekend, but here we are.
Here we are.
And if there is anything that can go wrong tonight, we all know. Maybe I should call this the wrong way Beyond the Box, because guess what I forgot to do still? I just sent the link to Tommy, and I forgot to send the link to Andy too. Look at me. I'm not, maybe I should nap today. That might have been what the problem is. I didn't nap today. Us older folks need our naps, So tonight we have Michael Vonn with us. And he's safe. He made it. We didn't advertise the show until like late last night, so we couldn't have anybody step in there and do anything crazy. So
right.
And like I said, Denise and Julie, you guys have all forms of permission. Somebody comes in that chat and starts saying anything goofy, give them the curb, throw them out like garbage. I'm not dealing with it. I don't have to do it. And like I said, as soon as I figure out how to give you guys your little wrenches and make you mods, I'll do it. I was looking at something and it didn't quite come out right. And, just get in here, Andy. Don't ask me no questions. Don't ask me questions. And we're waiting to see if Tommy shows up too. He's been having some internet problems. So, and Susie's back from her. Well, I don't know if we can call it a vacation or not because she's been just so busy.
Overdone, overwhelmed, overdone, too much stuff going on. Just but it's good to be back.
Yeah. Hi, Andy. Andy will be here whenever he decides to pop his little happy butt in here. Who knows what he's doing? Right. Sitting around probably playing a game on Facebook. but yeah. And Susie had horses and cows getting in her paint job today.
Yeah, I was painting and they were messing with me, and then the horses kept trying to put their noses on it, and it's metal paint because I was painting pipe. And then the cow, I had my back, I'm chasing the horses off, and I turn around, and the cow's got red all over his face. He's rubbing in it. I'm like, oh my God, You know
what? You should have tried putting a paintbrush in the cow's mouth. It might have went painted.
They wanted to.
They
were there, like most of the time I was painting, they just stood there like with their nose so close. I kept saying, get back, because they wouldn't leave me alone, so like silly animals.
They wanted to help you paint. They're like, hey man, we can help too.
Yeah, they liked it. It was entertainment for them, I guess.
Been over there swatting at them. Go get a job. I got one. I'm gonna
for a good afternoon. Hanging out with the animals. Yeah.
Right. And I gotta a package today, and nobody knows where it came from. But it's a package full. It was full of pretty crystals and stuff. And I got a rose quartz ball and a little box full of all kinds of crystals. I was like,
That's
ooh,
cool. And I sent you 2 boxes the other day, didn't I? Of
yeah.
fingernail polish and all kinds of fun stuff.
If anybody needs fingernail polish and your shop does not have your color that you want, call me. I swear I've got like 250 million different colors of
I sent you
fingernail
a
polish.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she sent me this box that had miscellaneous stuff in it. And miscellaneous stuff is always fun when you're going through it. And I have it all laid out on the bed. And every time I put something out, Putin would put his nose down there and smell it and look at me like, is this mine? And I'd say no. Then I put something else out. And, is this mine? Stupid dog.
Well, let's say a prayer, and then we'll bring in Mike.
Let's do that.
So, okay. So I just ask the Father in Jesus' name to watch over our show and protect us and keep us from, any hecklers and demons and, evil, nasty, whatever monsters out there that want to bother us, right? And our guests, and because our guest who's on tonight, he's been, kind of, the comment was first time he was grabbed and thrown into a building. The next time he had 2 men in black show up, and he was harassed and everything else, and it just, the forces that were evil were working against. So tonight we just pray and we thank God that he's here and thank God that everything is okay. And I think we're going to have a wonderful conversation, and I'll just pray that the Father leads us in Jesus' name. I pray. Amen.
So we will go ahead and bring Mike out if I can find him. Oh God, he has disappeared. Mike, where'd you go? Hello?
Am I showing up on? Well, hello there this evening.
We hear you. We just can't see you.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yes.
You're the
Can you hear me?
mystery guest. Yes, we can hear you.
That's the question.
What?
Oh, good. But you can't see me, right?
Yeah, we can't
see you. All there is your name, and we see the man standing there with these clouds, like some mysterious man.
That's good. No, I like to, as you know, I like to be kind of unknown for a variety of reasons.
Right?
This is true. Mike.
It might even start out with the Clinton Chronicles.
Oh, God.
Researching, exposing them of their distribution of cocaine.
We know them. They are just got their hands in everything.
So I learned that it was actually risky to be known. So I'm the most, I would say, famous unknown person you'll ever meet.
There you go.
So what would you like to? Now, the last time we were talking about the Super PAC game. I was on behalf of Bobby Kennedy and Trump. Now, I favored Bobby over both of them, and I'm so glad that the two of them are united, because if they can get Bobby in the White House, he's one heck of a advisor to Trump and to the other people who don't understand. And mass media has really twisted his anti-vax. He's not anti-vax.
You're talking about
He's
Bobby?
Anti-experimental.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just think Bobby's the bomb.com.
We can talk about my half brother, but we can't talk about them squishy things, because then YouTube will.
Yeah, we can't mention certain. Yeah, YouTube doesn't let us talk about something
they throw
that
me in
begins
jail.
with C. Yeah, when you get talking about certain certain things, Mike. YouTube's kind of a little touchy about that. But
I hate them.
Was it last week, Brenda? You came out and told your story, and Mike, you're gonna love this. Robert Kennedy is Brenda's half brother.
Oh my goodness. So
There
you
you
have a
go.
direct family relationship.
Not direct. I'm
Her story
personally,
is, yeah,
and
she was
personally, I
adopted.
never really, yeah, I never really cared for him per se
I
over
like
the
him.
years.
Well,
And
he's very, very knowledgeable, and most people don't get it. My background in investigative journalism, and then also being educated in the medical system, University of California research, if you will. Um, I have a Bachelor of Science in biology pre-med and a bunch of courses for my graduate degree I never bothered to pick up. So when he talks, I am very much on the same page as he is. He's the most informed. I don't agree with all of his political positions. I'm not happy with the, I would say, pro-choice he's kind of presented. So I'm hoping that God will lay on his heart to start looking at it from pro-life. All life matters. All lives matter.
Right?
yes, yes.
So when I had a good chat with Bobby back in August of this year, I really came to understand he speaks the truth the best as he sees it and knows it. And he's very polished. Trump is a contrast in characters for sure. I find this the most entertaining presidential campaign ever in my 70 some odd years of life.
Definitely entertaining, Mike. I can say that we even had Susie on the night of the election. We were up here till I don't know, all hours of the night. Watched his little speech afterwards. Poor
Right.
Susie. Poor Susie. There be Andy. We
I'm
are
here.
having a show, Andy.
Well, hello there.
Hey.
Poor Andy. Andy's sick. Andy's got COVID, y'all.
Oh,
So don't anybody take a
Andy.
deep breath. We might get
God
it.
bless you, Andy. I hope you feel better quickly.
Yeah, this shit's for the birds.
Even the birds don't like it, right?
This shit's for the birds.
I feel like Brenda ran my ass over with her electric wheelchair.
I'm telling you. But yeah, Mike, so it has been entertaining. People standing on their toes, waiting for something to drop. I don't know. All I can do is sit back and go, uh-huh. Let's see what happens. Uh-huh. Let's see what happens next. Yeah.
Are you familiar with President John F. Kennedy's printing with Congress, if you will, funding the new currency called United States notes of June of 1963?
Yes. I
What
remember
do you
about
know
that.
about those notes?
I don't know what happened to them. I can only imagine that they probably somehow ended up with Trump. To just say that. I know that that's also one of the reasons why he was assassinated, because they wanted to back that currency, that note, with precious metals. But other than that, they kind of put a hush hush on everything. So I don't know. What do you know?
Well, I appreciate it. Do you have you know what they look like? they were often referred to as the Kennedy dollars. They printed only $2 and $5 bills.
I do
And
not.
Mr. Kennedy was going to Dallas, or in Dallas. He was going to tell the public what I'm telling you now about why they only printed $2 and $5 bills. And all of you that have any interest in this, pull into the United States notes, sometimes referred to as Kennedy currency. And that was printed in June of 1963. And it was backed by silver. I think it was $480 billion in silver, when silver was whatever, $3 an ounce or something like that. Gold was like $35 an ounce. And there was an executive order, which is controversial, called Executive Order 11110 of June of 1963. And that was to bring back the control of the United States currency by the United States government, and to destroy the private banksters, referred to as Rothschilds, New World Order, Secret Society, of the fake Jews called Zionist Rothschilds. And it also incorporates the Vatican, Jesuit order, Black Pope, Gray Pope, and White Pope, and the kings and queens, the blue bloods. Those three are the trinity of Lucifer that controls our worldwide currencies under the central banking system. Interestingly enough, our government had to create 9/11 and blame it on people that didn't actually do it, so that they could justify invading and destroying Gaddafi's country and the dinar, which was $3. It took $3 American dollars to buy his one, or that country's one dinar. Because their currency was backed up by oil, gold, silver, and when that was Gaddafi. And when Saddam Hussein joined him, they were taking the African continent back to the gold, silver, asset-based currency. Well, guess where all their gold and silver disappeared to, as we invaded them under false pretenses? They confiscated all of the gold and silver. And of course, then we jump back over to the idea is their countries were on the program to destroy the central banks by doing away with fiat, paper, monopoly, funny money printed out of thin air.
Yep. Isn't that one of the reasons why they went after Saddam?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Besides, he's crazy, but he was a vicious dictator. He was easy to hate. But both of them, Gaddafi and Hussein together, were really on the right track for their African continent to go back to the silver and gold standards, oil, something really backing it up.
Right.
And you see what's happening today. China, Russia, many other countries in the Middle East all know this scam and are now prejudiced against our currency, trying to destroy it. I don't blame them, because our currency is not constitutional.
Nope, it's nothing but an IOU note.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So our common enemy, whether you're Democrat or Republican or independent, I don't care whether you're an atheist, agnostic, has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with financial slavery and the financial weapons of mass destruction that have been launched against the United States, which is really because of the Rothschild, Zionist, New World Order, secret societies. And Mr. Kennedy, when he got his head blown off, that was basically the end of the production of the United States notes. And you can take a look at them. They're dated 1963, with red ink for the serial number and the seal. And it definitely says United States notes. And it's very hard to find the truth because Google and the rest of them have been instructed to destroy or misdirect any of your research into this subject.
Absolutely. Yep. That's why I tell people, you want to find something, you definitely aren't going to find it on the news. You're not going to find it if you ask. You're not going to get the truth, and you sure aren't going to find it on Google. No.
You can see an Aaron Russo, who was one heck of a film producer in Hollywood, but he was a man of integrity. And he was kind of like a Michael Moore, but far more integrity oriented and far less interested in Hollywood hoopla. So Aaron ran for governor of Nevada in the end of the 90s. And I met him along the way, and I said to him, Aaron, this is the very state to introduce the unconstitutional taxation on a man or woman's personal income. There's 9 states in the United States that do not collect state taxes because their superior Supreme Courts have all ruled that it's unconstitutional. Now, why in the heck do they allow the Federal Reserve to collect money unconstitutionally by taxing you unlawfully and unconstitutionally? So I had shared with Aaron, and I'm not, that he need to find a story that I had. And he said, well, Michael, did they take you to trial? I said, no, they wouldn't arrest me. They would never take me to trial. And on a $250,000 unlawful taxation, I refused to pay income tax. And I even encouraged them to arrest me, put me in jail, because I wanted to join Michael Milliken at the Lompoc prison, gentleman's prison, so I could meet the best of the people that were in banking and also knew the story. Well, anyway, long story short, I offered them $1.98 to settle this case and convict me as a tax evader for $1.98. It's another interesting story that took place, and they accepted it.
Take it? Okay, there you go.
So then I was shocked when they accepted it, but I kind of knew that they knew that. I had the constitutional arguments, and they didn't want me to take this case to trial. Because if they lost, it sets case authority. So I said, I'm tired of fighting you after 7 or 8 years. I'm going to let you win for $1.98. The IRS attorney accepted that. And then they brought the paperwork out for me to sign for 2 years, 89 and 90. And I then reached into my pocket to bring out $1.98 and change. I remember counting 3 pennies. So I wasn't being funny and trying to be obnoxious with a bunch of pennies to pay this off. and they would not take it. This is something I did not know at the time. They would not take it. And I said, what do you mean you won't take it? I'm willing to settle this debt, which is unconstitutional, with your unconstitutional money, which you guys print out of thin air and have nothing backing it up. They said, well, we'd be glad to take your personal check, bank, money orders, anything, postal, money orders. And that's when I said, wait a minute, let's go back to court. I want to prove this and also expose this new piece of information that you won't take cash. Well, I thought they might put handcuffs on me after another 15 minutes sweating it out in the office, their IRS office. And then they bring out 2 more papers now. And what do you think was on the bottom line that I owed them?
What?
0.
Oh,
0.
Absolute 0. I owed them nothing. I was a free man, sole and sovereign under Jesus Christ, God Almighty, according to the constitutional laws and common laws that they no longer allow to be practiced in our court system.
Wow. What an ordeal
Now,
you had.
Aaron went on, and he found a couple that were just really bullied and shafted and locked up in jail. Older couple like me. At the time, I was a younger person. Now I'm like them in age. Anyway, you must see, and I encourage you to Google Aaron, Aaron, Russo, Russo, America, Freedom to Fascism. Now, we're in full-on fascism. And I'm going to do part 2, by the grace of God. Now that we're in fascism, we need to do America, fascism to freedom. How are we going to do it, folks?
got to get rid of that central banking system, that's for sure. That has to go bye-bye.
Yeah, and it's very dangerous for any political office holder. Ron Paul is the closest that's come to it, but they made him look like a crazy man, idiot. So they've allowed him to live, even though he's pushed for the idea that I'm speaking of.
Yep. I think that's because he's in the public eye. I said, I think that's because he's in the public eye quite a bit. So,
Well, the American public, once they understand this, which is mind-boggling, it took me a long time to get my head around this fiat money system, printing money out of thin air. And it starts back when Woodrow, I couldn't even say his name right, Woodrow Wilson granted, and Congress, the Jekyll Island Group into printing and controlling our currency. But they also took control of Germany's currency, Britain's currency. The next thing you know, we're in war because they are basically the Rothschilds' Federal Reserve banking systems, if you will, central banking system. Just printed money like crazy so that both Germany and Britain and ourselves, I don't know about Japan's currency, but that's why it exploded into a world war. And we're about ready to do World War III because of the same banking system. They must create a war because war is good business.
Oh, yeah, for them.
And that makes the wheels go around, if you will, the financial wheels. So we must come against this Federal Reserve central banking system printing money out of thin air. And I don't I know that Bobby is fully aware of this. I don't know how much Trump is aware of this,
He's aware.
but by now he should be well educated and informed.
Yes.
So we may have to literally take up arms to force this issue.
Possibly.
I don't know.
I mean,
how do we break this fascism
I know that's something that,
financially?
yeah, I know that that's something that Trump and probably Robert don't want the American people to have to do. So if that's the case, then they have to find another way. Because I think that the American people have put up with so much over the last, especially the last 4 years, that they've about had enough. I mean, everybody has just had enough. It's like, you know, we could all stand here at the top of our lungs and say, go away, dumb shit. But, you know, if it came down to that, it would be a disaster. And the people like Robert Kennedy, Trump, if they didn't stand with us, then they would go down like the rest of them. And that would be a horrible thing to happen. So somebody's got to find a better way.
So with the million, or if you will, 300 million Americans, we have some brilliant people that know what they need to do. Are they cowards? Or are they in the delusion of Luciferian thinking? Most people are about their pocketbook.
Yeah.
How much money they can make, and be damned with everyone else. But there is a growing segment that is fully waking up. So I'm glad you guys are in this breaking edge or willing to think outside the box. So I hope you can invite in the future more people that you guys come across that have a solution to this issue and know what I'm talking about and what you're talking about, Brenda.
Do you, Mike, have you ever heard of Michael Anthony?
Say that again, please.
Have you ever heard of a guy called Michael Anthony?
Yes, but I don't have enough to say about it. What is it that you wish to share?
Well, I know that I'm going to be doing one of his radio shows with him. We're going to do a show on this stuff, on the politics and different stuff like that. He wakes me up at 4 o'clock in the morning when he has an epiphany. So we will sit and we'll talk about it. And he's on the right edge of that. We both kind of learn things from each other. Sometimes I learn a lot more from him. So we're going to be doing that, and it's going to be about some of this stuff. So it's really neat. I have to find the speech that JFK was going to give the day that he was supposed to be up there in Dallas after he got shot. I have that speech. I have a copy of that speech. And he wants me to find that. I don't know if I'm going to allow him to have it or if I'm just going to read it to him. But yeah. And also the burnt letter, Susie. I have the letter that they tried to set on fire and it got put out.
Wow.
So him and I have been talking on and off about some of this stuff. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But the solution really lies with us surrendering to Yeshua, who's commonly known as Jesus. I'm what you might call a Jew for Jesus, but I hate the word Jew. That's a slang term to discredit Yeshua, and it's a version created by the Trinity of Lucifer, if you will. So the power in the name of Yeshua, he was the rabbi within the system, as you know, and commonly as Jesus. And my support at the time I was chatting with you months ago was for Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ #2, which is going to be referred to as a resurrection. It's a dynamite script. Where did Jesus go when he was in 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb? So at the moment, Mel has requested that I and my team and his team, which is Icon Media, raise $60 million to fund his Passion of the Christ 2. The budget, and by the way, anything I say may be subject to great change and error because I'm not involved in the day-to-day budget or what the status is. But Mel has raised the $60 million from standard means. What he wanted to share with his fans and also the Messianic believers, Messiah believers, to participate in the potential return on investment. But I'm not soliciting money from individuals. So Mel's project is worth my time to put together a package that will help get his film out, even though he's fully capable of funding it himself. Well, that's another issue. But I'm in favor of anything in entertainment that gets the Jesus, Messiah, Yeshua message across. And the Muslims, interestingly enough, love Yeshua. They're waiting for Yeshua to come back to rescue them.
Yeah.
The Jews are waiting for Yeshua to come back to rescue them. And the Christians are waiting for the
Jews,
Jesus character to come back and rescue them.
Right.
Or
Everybody's
us.
waiting. That's true.
Also, I wish to bring to your attention that the shadow government, Illuminati, New World Order, the way that they control this is by creating fear and division among the different people, religions, culture, etc. They've done an excellent job assassinating the Muslims.
Yeah.
When in fact the
sad.
Muslims are waiting for Yeshua.
Yep.
Now we have a common denominator, but we need more people to understand they're not our enemy. Now the radicals are,
Yeah.
but the radicals are being funded by the New World Order
Yeah. Which
to
we
keep
don't
us distracted and keep us in division.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all like that. If people would just sit down and think about this, you know, a lot of the problems comes from the people who actually run the world, not from the people in the world. You know, I mean, everybody, I believe, can live in peace and with each other. But then you get these snob-nobbing, you know, higher ups who sit there and say, well, you don't need to, these people think this of you, or these people that think this of you. get it from the horse's mouth. Y'all quit believing everything our government says. Quit believing this crap. You know, everybody says, oh, well, you know, white people are against black people and black people are against white people and Hispanic people. No, no, no. I was married to a black man. I ain't got nothing against black people. I don't see people for their color. I do not see people for their race. I see people for who they are inside and the type of person they are and how they treat me and others. It's not about your skin. It's not about what country you're from. You
It's
know,
about who you are on the inside, who your soul is.
yeah. I mean, I used to, when I lived in California, I used to date an Arab guy. I hung out with him and his cousin. They were the greatest people ever. You know, it's also stupid. This division, it just angers me because it doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to happen. But yet our powers to be think, oh, let's just do it this way because it's the right way. Wrong answer. People just don't get it. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going next, Mike. It's okay, jump in.
What do you have to say about all this, Susie? How about you, Andy?
Oh, Andy doesn't talk much, especially right now when he's sick. He'll send me a link here in a minute and say, oh, you got so many minutes left till break. He's my time guy.
Right.
He thinks people can just be stupid.
You're the quiet one.
He is.
Look like you're in deep contemplation.
Oh, he's got COVID right now. He just does not feel good.
Right. Poor Andy.
He's doing all right though. I mean, at least he gets up out of bed every day, whether he wants to or not.
Well, I think that there's good people and then there's bad people. And that's how it is. They're either good or they're either bad. They're you can't, a bad person isn't going to become a good person. A good person makes bad mistakes or makes mistakes, but they're always that good person inside. So, you know, I think that's the difference between, you know, when you hear that comment about the wheat and the tares and the angels of God separating the two, but they grow up together. And so I think we live in a world with good and bad people. And those people who are good love God, find God at, you know, at some point in their life, even if it's at the last leg of their life, could be the last day of their life, they still find him. And the bad people are the ones that love Lucifer and and uh, and the darkness and the evil that they can use to manipulate through other people's lives. You know, so I think that's what it's all about. It's good versus evil. You know, and you just have. I think we have to learn who people are. You know, we have to learn who they are and stop giving bad people chances because, you know, they're bad people, you know, and we need to start drawing the line between the good and the evil in this world, you know. Yeah.
What is the definition of a bad person versus a good definition of a good person?
Be like a dark soul, you know, somebody who is dark, who, you know, they say there's, you know, uh, well, like Jesus or Lucifer would be called the false light because he appears to be like light, like, and light would be in the essence of something good, and darkness would be in the essence of something evil, right? But so Lucifer tries to be the false light. He's the, trickster. In Norse mythology, Lucifer is Loki, and Loki is the trickster god. So he uses trickery and deception, whereas he's really dark inside his heart. He's dark. Okay, but he pretends, or he pretends to be good, pretends to be your friend, but he's not your friend. He pretends to be helping, but really he's out to sabotage you. Okay, so those are the people in this world that we live in. We live in a world where we live amongst God's people and Lucifer's people. So Lucifer's people, they may friend you, pretend to be your friend, but all the time they have darkness in their heart. They have no good intentions, but they can play the game because they're tricksters. So they can play it very well, I mean, that I'm going to call it out. Penny L.A. Shepherd,
Just jump right out there with it, Susie.
Was somebody that I would call a very much of a trickster Luciferian, because in her journals she was very clear that she loved Lucifer. She said, very dark person, but yet she could play the part, and she could make up all these stories so that she would try to get people to love her and follow her, and she would play this part of deception that she was a good person, but in reality, she was dark. And this is very typical of how Loki operated in Norse mythology. He became part of the Odin's family, pretended to be fighting alongside, but then he would do something very bad and sabotage the family, or he would bring death to the family members and stuff like that. So the enemy, who is dark, will plant themselves within your family, within your friendship. This is how they operate. So a good person doesn't think like that. Doesn't do that to another person. A good person is always looking out and trying to help person. Is always forgiving and letting things go and turning things over to God. A good person doesn't have hidden motives. A good person isn't making up stories and manipulating people. Isn't telling lies, and that So I mean, I think people have to start vetting their friendships a little bit better with people out there, and you know and be careful, because what does it say? Satan is like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And that's, I think, what we were talking about a little bit before the show started, was how these people come into our lives, and then they sabotage us. They come in as our friend, but in the end, what you see is not something good that blesses your life, or that takes you to the next level, but they brought something in to deceive you and to bring you down, and that they had hidden motives, and this is what you find out. So I think we should keep our friendship, our circle, very small, our close, and be very careful. And when people say they're our friends and stuff, I think we should be very cautious to find out if that's true or not, or if they're just there because they have dark intent, because darkness always is attacking the light, always trying to put out the light. It's kind of its nature. You know what I mean?
Or just invite me to be around him, Susie. That little demons will poke their heads out.
Yeah, I think I've had the same problem. I think Mike has the same problem. When you're a good person, then what happens is the good persons have a way of exposing the dark. and revealing the dark, because eventually they can't hide it forever. I mean, they can, it's like, somebody tells a lie, they try to keep that lie as long as they can, but eventually, usually something surfaces, and then you find the truth. What it says, like everything will be revealed. God says everything will be revealed at some point. So at some point, things get revealed. Okay,
Right.
so if they were a good person, there would be nothing to reveal. They would have nothing to hide. If there's a good person, I mean, what are they hiding? They tell the truth. They don't hide anything. But a dark person does. So that's my take on it. Anyway, go ahead, Mike. What do you have?
Well, what do you think about what you're talking? I'm thinking the definition of bad is unhealthy, destructive behavior, and good is kind, loving, positive, healthy behavior. What do you think, Andy?
Andy, did you hear Mike? Oh, he's
Is he
you were
muted?
yeah, he's muted. He said, "Hang on." He gave it a finger.
Okay.
Oh, his radio's going off. He's got calls coming in.
Ah,
He has he
He does
he works for a fire photography
fire
thing.
department. Yeah.
Yeah, for the fire department and all that. He's got calls coming in. That's why he's not answering. He's listening to his radios are going off. But yeah,
What do you think, Brenda?
I think Mike's right. I think, dark and destructive. I don't know. I've had so much going on this past week that it's like, I don't know. I feel like I have been crapped all over. I am. It's terrible.
So you're so misunderstood, my dear. That's the
I
problem.
know it. I know it.
I know.
It's horrible.
Right?
It's horrible. Yeah, when you tell somebody, Mike, when we get dreams or we get thoughts or visions or anything to that aspect, it's not always what it seems. So you have to take time. You have to figure it out. Susie and I do that a lot, and a lot of times we'll bounce things off of each other until we can get it pinpointed and figured out. And I just had a mishap with a friend, and that friend didn't want to wait for the results of this, so I blurted some stuff out about this dream, and that friend did exactly what I knew they would and hightailed it and turned around and blew it all out of proportion and blew it all up. And it's like, I knew it. So when you think about some of this stuff, if you just go to the first conclusion you get out of your mind, that's to me, that it's not right, because there are a lot of deceptive things sometimes when you even dream, you can dream things and it can deceptively be there and be wrong. Satan
Well,
works in 2 ways.
Brenda, what I said to you about I've had dreams that are prophetic, like, they come true, like, since I
Right.
was a child, lots and lots and lots of dreams. And God has showed me so many things. But the thing that I've learned as being a person who sees things in my dreams is that I have learned not to interpret my dreams.
Right.
And I allow things to reveal themselves, because most of the time when I'm thinking about a dream I had, I'm seeing what I was shown in the dream. I'm trying to figure it out, right? And what I've learned is whatever I figured it out 100% wrong. So it turns out that it was the opposite when it revealed itself. And then that made sense. And it was like, wow, it was like a revelation. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to interpret anything. I'm going to let God show me. I'm going to see the dream, and then I'm going to let God show me in real time what that means. And so you had a dream, and you were trying to say, I don't know what this dream means. And the dream was just like that. It was actually the opposite of what we're trying to interpret it as.
Yep.
Like I said, it happens a lot.
Yep.
Because we learn more when we just sit back and watch God than trying to figure things out. It's kind of like it's like a trust factor. It's like trust. You trust God.
Right. And you can't put a time limit on it. I'll give you until such and such time before you can't do that.
Yeah, because dreams are and dreams could be very fragmented, and they could you could have a dream where you see like 5 different things in a sequence, and it could be like it might seem like it was one event, but it could be like 5 years. One thing happened there and another thing, and you didn't know that at the time because you're thinking the whole thing meant something present, but it's showing you as after 5 years pass, you say, whoa, that's what that meant. So that's why it's best just to trust God, to let him show you these things, and then to trust God and to watch and to see how it manifests.
And I ended up after a few days figuring it out anyways. And it wasn't what we thought. So,
I'm sure that's what the prophets of old had to discover, Susie, what you're describing. And you too,
trusting
Brenda.
God. Yeah, trusting God and waiting to see how it would reveal itself.
So it's important that we don't ignore our dreams, our feelings, but I love it. Let go, let God reveal it to us. And that's a hard one to do, to sit back with wisdom.
Yeah, and the bad thing about it,
because you have to learn patience. You have to learn patience to wait on God. You have to wait.
And the bad thing about this was it wasn't what was interpreted. It was something entirely different. And it was a meaning of I was supposed to be there for that friend, to help that friend with something. Well, now I no longer have that friendship anymore because it was rushed upon. I was given an ultimatum on timeline, and so it didn't work out right. And it didn't really make a lot of sense to me because of what was said. That feeling's not there because I don't think that people really realize that my heart belongs to one person and one person only. And it will always be there because that's the type of person I am. Because when I really care for somebody, it's a lifetime thing for me. I think that's one of the reasons why I can always get along with a lot of my exes, because it's a lifetime thing for me. I don't just like somebody and then walk away from them like, pee on you, I'm done. That doesn't happen with me. My ex used to beat on me. He was an idiot. But you know what? He still has a part of my heart because that's just the way I am. I don't wander away from people. So because that person did not let me trust and let me figure it out and just sit on it for as long as I needed to, it all turned into something else. So, which harmed me. It hurt me deeply. I hurt deep.
And see, that's another problem when you tell somebody a dream and and they're in that dream, immediately a lot of people, what they want to do is give the interpretation of what they think that it means. And they can be 100% wrong again. That's what I'm saying. Dreams are very peculiar. I mean, because I've been a dreamer my entire life. I dream all the time. Okay, all the time. So, I was telling Brenda I had a dream the other night. I was dreaming about 3 girls that are trapped in a home with a woman and a man. I saw this in my dream. They were being made to go without clothes because they were getting ready. They were teaching them to be sex trafficked. And this is an older woman and a man. I saw this, and the girl didn't want to be a part of this, but somehow I tapped into that dream and I saw that. And I know that is a big problem in our world, is there's so much sex trafficking going on. And I don't know who these girls are, but they were working for this couple in this dream. So I don't know, but I'm sure if I'm at some point in time, I will figure out what this is about, who it involves, and it may be somebody that we end up having on the show. And then I don't, but I'm just gonna let it go and see where it goes, because I don't know.
And right at that point, Susie, remember where you are. We have got to take our 5-minute break, guys, because Brenda's got to run across the room. So we are going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break.
5-minute coffee break.
5-minute coffee break.
Run to the bathroom break if you have to go to the bathroom.
I'm not running anywhere, but I'm going fast.
Just be careful, okay? Don't
No
have any
falling
accidents
down.
on the way.
You'll hear me yell, "London Bridges," as I'm going down. Funny, Andy. So we will be right back in 5, guys. Ah, we're back. I got to do both. I got to run and go
Back.
pee and coffee thanks to Jack. I'm like,
There
I'm
you
going
go.
this way, you go that way, make coffee. He's learning. He's not a coffee drinker, so he has no clue. So, anyways, so
Back again.
yes, we are back again. Here we are. And so I have a question for you, Mike. How did you get tied up in the whole movie industry to begin with?
Question again, please.
How did you get involved in the whole industry, movie industry to begin with? So way back.
Once upon a long time ago, I had visions, like you're describing with your dreams, and I'm going, why am I getting these ideas to create a show called Brushed by an Angel's Wing?
And I was
Well,
just going to ask you that, Mike. I was just going to ask you if you would tell us about that, because you wanted to do a documentary. Wasn't it like people who have experiences with God and miracles, and that was your idea, right? That you had that
yes,
idea.
and CBS, I had an agent that also worked with my co-writer. His name was Jack Gross. Jack Gross was one of the main writers or the lead writers for Gilligan's Island, the original back in the 60s. So anyway, in the 90s, I met Jack, and he liked the idea. I said, Jack, we need to create something interesting, I felt, about angels. There's the fallen angels that appear and try to deceive them or deceive us to think that they're the good angels, or the angels of light. So I wrote the show I said the other thing was I had experienced a few miracles, what I would call the miracles, because I'm not one to be believing in miracles, but I had some events happen that I just couldn't dismiss as being what can I say? Were not just accidental. They had to be by design. I couldn't explain them. So anyway, the idea was create a show called Brushed by an Angel's Wing and put on that, recreate the different events that people would encounter as a docudrama. And CBS said, oh no, that's not going to work. So what they did, as far as I'm concerned, they hijacked the concept and they created an excellent show called Touched by an Angel. It was
But Mike, it was
yes,
not your idea of a actual like documentary. It was more fictional, made up stories with characters. It wasn't based on real stories, right?
yeah, that's how they, what I considered, ripped off the concept, but they just basically felt that a true docudrama would not work, so they did it fictional. Excellent show, ran for 10 years or more. So I rewrote the show and called it Miracle Zone and presented it to PAX Television. This is again back in the 90s. And Pat Robertson ripped off the show, if you will, and created Miracles, the show Miracles. John Boy Walton, if you will, Richard Thomas. I can't remember who the female host was, but at the time I had John Boy Walton in mind, and also Diane Cannon, who would be the female older person to be the host of the show. And then again, it was based upon what can we do with real live docudrama. So anyway, then Sid Ross has an excellent show called, I think he calls it Miracles. which is more on the way I
Supernatural.
wanted to do. Oh, thank you very
Supernatural.
much. Yeah, the supernatural. He does an excellent job with that, by the way. Um, so anyway, after my terrible experience of presenting things, I began to realize that I better have my own studio company and my own team, if you will, board of directors, who would fund the ideas that we have. And so in 2000, uh, cleaned up a company called Pervasis. Pervasis was a $360 million dot-com bubble craze. It was, we were ahead of our time in creating video streaming, if you will. And at the time, the video streaming requirements were millions of dollars to have the equipment in place. And our team of designers on the video conferencing concept came up with a series of chips and so forth that it could be very easily done. What would cost $1 million in equipment could be done for 100,000. And unfortunately, the pornography industry put us on the map because they loved that. Didn't care if it was smooth or not, and so they loved the jerky motion, and as long as they could get something going across the airwaves. In the meantime, it wasn't good enough for the government contractors and or hospitals. They didn't want to deal out. So fortunately, the dot-com bubble craze ran our stock up, which was truly worth somewhere between $1 and $5, and it zoomed up to $15 a share. No way on earth was it worth $15 a share. So anyway, our talent bailed to cash out on the good fortune to become multimillionaires, leaving us original founders going down with the ship. So it crashed and burned as Pervasis. The stock symbol was PVS. So I thought I need to take this stealth Christianity concept into development, and it came out as FAME, Film and Music Entertainment, Independent Studios. And the fellow that mentored me over a period of years was John Daly. John Daly was the CEO and president of Hemdale Films. And by the end of the 90s, excuse me, the end of the 90s and the end of the 80s, pardon me. He had created, he was such a scoundrel. That's the bottom line. He was a scoundrel, a charming scoundrel, and one heck of a talented filmmaker. So they had built up over 100 films, and Sony bought out the Hemdale for 1.5 billion or something like that back in the end of '89, beginning of the 90s. Well, John was run out of the country and went to Europe. And while he was in Europe, he really connected very well with the Russian film industry. And one of the wealthiest Russians, the number 98th wealthiest Russians, really appreciated John's ability to help develop their film industry in St. Petersburg/Moscow. So Mikhail Khodovsky was the number one wealthiest Russian in Russia at the time, in the year 2000 to 2003-ish. And his right-hand man, Alexei Glubovich, together they had created the largest private banking system within Russia called Minitep Bank. And then they acquired Yukos Oil, the largest oil company within Russia. And unfortunately, Mikhail Khodovsky thought he could run against Putin for president. Big mistake. The business oligarchs are allowed to go into business and become oligarchs in that area only under the direction of the political oligarchs. Really isn't any different than here in the United States. So Alexei Glubovich was in favor by Putin. He was not a target, But because Mikhail Kanovsky decided to run for against Putin, well, that was the end of his career. As they arrested him, put him in prison, he survived attempts on his life. Putin must have had some favor toward him. Otherwise, Mikhail would be dead today. So anyway, he was released from prison. He's free to conduct business again. He's considered favorable by the United States, as these are more interesting Russians that were not sanctioned. And same thing with Alexei Glubovich. So anyway, Alexei Glubovich funneled money to our company legally. We had to pass all the scrutiny of the KBG, the IRS, the Mossad, anybody in Homeland Security, and we were under great investigation and passed all the necessary requirements by the United States government, the Russian government at the time. And John Daly had developed quite a relationship with the Glubovich. John had, to his credit at that time, over 15 Academy Awards, over 25 nominations, an untold number of Grammys. And he shows up in my office and he says, "Congratulations." I said, "Well, John," I said, "you're a scoundrel, and I know how scoundrels work. Thank you very much for getting me that education." But I said, "I can never deny your abilities to put together a team to make Academy Award winning films." So I said, "John, let's do another show and bring angels and Christianity to life." And there was on our plate, John Daly brought $10 million in the year 2003 to our table to match my personal investment and our investors' pool of 10 million. So we started off in the year 2003 with approximately $20 million, which is more like 3 times that amount, more like 60 million, depending upon how you look at the adjustment of currencies. So it was, Susie, it was a God-guided thing. I could never plan for putting all this together. And I had this vision that I'm supposed to do it, and it manifested itself. And our first, in the process along this period of time, the Clinton Chronicles came out. That's exposing the Clintons. Jeremiah Films was an excellent group of people that were Christian oriented and had Christian denomination films. And their exposure, although they only focused on the Clintons, they didn't want to expose Oliver North, Ronald Reagan, George Bush Sr. Jr. was more the frat boy, just smoking his stuff or taking the cocaine.
He was the puppet for his daddy.
And,
yeah, I get
that. Anyway, eventually George Bush Jr. also was involved in the 9/11 destruction of the Twin Towers, all that stuff. In order to go forward in the movie industry, I had to kind of back out of the Clinton. I mean, I've been in hiding for years over the Clinton Chronicles, but I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. They're fully exposed, those who understand what's going on. So today I'm more focused in on bringing Judeo-Christian entertainment to the world, so that the Muslims can relate to who Yeshua is, Jesus, if you will. Same thing with the born-again Christians, the Catholics, and the Jews. All have this character in their historical records. And so how do we bring focus to Yeshua? Well, John Daly became a pirate and destroyed film and music entertainment. So that destroyed my dreams of creating a Judeo-Christian entertainment company. flash forward, well, actually at that time, Mel Gibson had heard of our interest in doing Judeo-Christian entertainment, so he brought us The Passion of the Christ #1 to consider. I was totally in favor of it, but at that time I had been like Steve Jobs. I gave up my 1% control for money for investors, and I was no longer anything more than just a stockholder and not the majority holder any longer. I gave up that 1%. Big mistake. So when I brought it to the board of directors to do Mel's Passion of the Christ #1, they laughed at me. They said, "We don't need another expletive effing Jesus film." And I said, "You have no idea what you're saying." I said, "This is going to be of great interest to those who believe in Jesus and like Mel Gibson's abilities as an actor as well as a producer in Icon Media."
Right.
So I lived long enough to see that it was an unbelievable success story for its distribution and interest to the Judeo-Christian entertainment environment, particularly the Catholics and born-again Christians. So Passion of the Christ became a $600 million success or more, probably going 700 million, $1 billion. I don't keep track of it anymore. But that was a $30 million investment that Mel ended up mostly putting his own money into, and as well as a smaller group of investors. And here I am, pretty much done with the Hollywood scene when Mel brought it to my attention. He would like to raise 60 million out of for the 120 million budget he has for the Passion of Christ #2. So how did I get into this industry? Totally Forrest Gump. Some of the most incredible producers and directors have come to work with me, or I've come to work with them. So therefore, very few people know me except those who I've worked with. And so therefore, that's where I came up with that concept. I'm the most famous, I say, unknown, I stress unknown, person you'll meet in this entertainment industry.
How interesting.
So recently, again, a Forrest Gump style, I'm with Pictures Development, and we were looking at acquiring Paramount with the team that I have. Paramount has been taken over by another group, but I'm still alive and still here and looking forward to doing Judeo-Christian entertainment. And we're doing it. But so that's kind of how I got into this, just being led by God, not knowing where I'm going, walking in the fog, and saying, "Use me, God, somewhere or another in this industry if you want me to get involved in the power of the angels of the air." So this is kind of the whole concept. We have two angels, if you will. We only have two radio stations or television stations on this planet, which I call KQL, whatever, God, Hashem, Yeshua, and the other one is KQL, Lucifer, Luciferian rebellions.
Right. I don't even watch TV anymore. I keep it on in the background when I go to sleep because, I could never figure out why I've always had to have that going. And then I ended up finding out later that it was because anybody who has had a lot of trauma in their life, they sleep with the TV on. And it's because they deep down inside don't have like a feeling of like abandonment. Hey, look
Yeah,
at
we
that.
can see you, Mike.
Hey. Not sure how that happened. How'd that all happen?
Mike, I really think your idea is the best idea and not what all these other people have done. Like you wanting to do something, puts me in mind of that the show Supernatural, where the they're demon hunters, Sam and Jensen Ackles, they play the two guys, and the whole story is that they're out to destroy the monsters and the demons of this planet that are killing people. And so each series, or each, season or whatever, or a show, is about a particular storyline, and I think, and your idea about an individual people and their storyline, is that, to me, that's more real. That's like that's more tangible. It has more substance, because it's based on something that is real, not something fictional or make believe or wannabe or something you dreamed up. You know what I mean? It's not a cartoon, you know?
And that's true. The real life stories, the more I look into them, and I've personally experienced such miracle zone stuff, um, angelic versus Luciferian encounters. What I see and talk about today, or what I personally have experienced, I never believed it 20, 30 years ago. I would call people like me or you as being nutcases, delusional, hearing voices, schizophrenia, or whatever. But I've come to realize there really is a communication link, and it's taken me some time to settle into that. Susie, I loved your statement earlier about just going with the flow, receive whatever dreams you have or visions, and then sit back and see how it unfolds. And then God uses us along the way in that. Um, as far as doing future films, um, I'm definitely looking to reestablish that kind of concept, as I feel that it's still more vital than doing the fictional. But the fictional is important too. I do have visions of doing another Jesus film. First of all, I'm supporting Mel's project and want to see it. It'll come to fruition. It just, the more Jesus stuff we have, the more people open up and see it, and different artists are able to bring that forward. Even Martin Scorsese's Last Temptation of Christ, based upon Nicholas Kazantzakis' book, it was such a controversial, hated film. I had to go see it. Let me tell you, that's actually opened my eyes to who Jesus is that his film was not as blasphemous as the press made it appear, or the born again or Catholics. It definitely was not scripturally correct in many areas, but the purpose of The Last Temptation was to show a real human Messiah who was tempted by every temptation that us humans have. And the scene that they found so offensive was a scene with him hanging on the cross, losing consciousness, and before him appears this most beautiful angelic angel. Unbelievably gorgeous, and he was so seductive that you really thought it was one of God's angels, one of Yeshua's angels talking to him. And really what it was she basically took center stage and said, Jesus, look what you're missing out on, having a wife, having children. And so the scene was, what would happen if Jesus had been seduced by these thoughts, knowing that he's missing out on all the pleasures of the world, which he turned all of them down. So the last temptation was the idea that he was married, had children, and would go forward. Well, at that point, he shakes himself awake and says, Father, it's done, it's completed. And you zoom the camera back on to realizing that this angelic creature was of Lucifer, tempting him. It was powerful. So I then kind of realized, wait a minute. It says, Yeshua says some things like, you will do greater things than me. So we're going to be tempted in all areas of our life. And have I started walking on water yet? No. But it's possible physically and physics wise. I've not reached that stage. But I do know that the Master, the Messiah, is Yeshua, the Rabbi, at a minimum, very human, and yet very surrendered to passing all of his tests along the way. Do I believe he's God in the flesh? Well, at a minimum, I believe he's the total reflection of God, of love and teaching. I still don't have a good answer for whether he's totally God in the flesh like the common belief is. So therefore, I keep saying Hashem, that's God. That's a polite way of calling the I am without being insulting to him by my unclean status or my own sins. So Yeshua is no question in my mind. He meets the criteria of the Hebrew definition of Messiah. And very few of us understand Hebrew or the language. So therefore, we're depending upon the interpretations of the King James Version or NIV or whatever version you like and love. And it's all based on Greek translation, taking the Hebrew or the modern Hebrew, which is a combination of Aramaic and Hebrew, if you will. And Hebrew is a language, it's a digital pictorial language that starts with Paleo Hebrew, which is more like stick figures, to communicate a language. Then it gets developed into ancient Hebrew, and then there's modern Hebrew, what slash was Aramaic of Yeshua's time. It was not Greek, it was not Latin, it was not English. By the way, most of us don't know that the word Allah was perfectly acceptable to Yeshua and his disciples, the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees and Sadducees of Yeshua's time. So we've been brainwashed to believe that Yeshua slash never would acknowledge Allah as the one and only God that he was teaching. Did you know that?
Yes, I knew that.
So I
Actually
may
did
sound
find
blasphemous.
that. I
What's
found
that?
that in my Ethiopian Bible.
So you did too. So when we look at trying to understand the New Testament, which I'm under the belief that was written in modern Hebrew slash Aramaic Semitic language, the only book that I think that was written perhaps in Greek would have been the doctor who was educated in the
Luke.
Greek sciences, if you will. And that would have been who?
Luke.
Huh?
Luke.
Luke? Yeah. So the doctor there slash one of the disciples probably wrote in Greek. But now I am concerned that, and it's important, I feel, for me slash our team and people to bring forward who Yeshua is, to bring forward the pictorial pictogram digital language called Hebrew, which a lot of people, how can I say it? What do they call these memes or these,
The
stuff that
memes.
people, what do they call?
The memes.
Yeah, thank you. I never pay attention to the actual definition. But a picture, a picture speaks 1,000, 100 words. And the more that you know, these pictograms communicate beyond just the language of English. So Greek then, excuse me, the Hebrew language got interpreted and translated by the Greek mythological language. And therefore, there are some serious errors in our understanding of what the Old Testament teaches and the New Testament teaches, which was done in Hebrew. Then we get another translation to Latin. I had to study Latin for science. It's great language for science. But then I found that it even further twists and misdirects us and it's used in a witchcraft. Latin language is used for casting spells, and interestingly enough, the Vatican tried to teach in Latin instead of teaching Hebrew. Or we should have learned the Old Testament and the New Testament in Hebrew, not Greek, not Latin. And then it was translated again, King James period of time. I think that was 1575 or 76, something like that. And the letter J is created. The letter J was used to confuse us even more about Hebrew language and so forth. So, Brenda, you are familiar with the letter J issue?
Yes.
Not many
I'll
people
tell you,
are.
I got this wonderful 1560 edition of the Geneva Bible, and I've learned an awful lot. And in this Bible, everything that it says, and if it says something in Hebrew, off to the side of it, it tells you what that means to where I can read it. So yes, I did find out that the letter J was not even part of anything.
It's not part of
That's
Norse mythology either, in language either.
Right.
Yeah. So what we have is we use the letter J. Of course, I love the word Jesus. I mean, I even like it to sound better than Yeshua, to be honest with you.
But to know what it means would make you not like it.
Yeah. Why is it so difficult for us to learn some of the names and the holy names if there's
In
power in his
Aramaic,
name?
it's really Issa. Jesus's name or Yeshua's name is Issa. If you're speaking Aramaic, it's ISSA.
And see,
I mean, there is no J, there is no Y, there is no nut. It's just ISSA.
And in the Ethiopian Bible, it does refer to, and it'll say it with the parentheses, Jesus, but it says Yeshua.
Yeah.
And then
I'm so glad you're both up on this.
In parentheses. It's like with God. It's Yahuwah.
Well, I was sitting in a Pentecostal church just exploring different religious philosophies. I've gone with gurus and I've gone with the Hare Krishnas and, the Mormons and the Catholics and the born again Lutherans or whatever the different denominations are.
I've been there.
Yeah, so this is part of, God, show me who you are, not what anybody flaps their lips about. And I said, you're going to have to, that's kind of arrogant, but I said, you're going to have to show me in a way that I understand that you're communicating to me and you're communicating the truth.
Right.
Well, that's been a 20-year journey in itself or more. So whenever I share, I might be in great error. I might be blasphemous in what I'm sharing. But I know that the Roush or the Ruach HaKodesh, which is also known as the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh is Hebrew.
Right.
What was conveyed to me while I was sitting in that Pentecostal, while that preacher was up there going, holy is his name, and there's power in his name. And he's going on and on about all this holiness. And I thought, what really is his name? And it struck me, no, it's not in English. Go learn Hebrew was kind of my message. And it's taken a long time, and there's a couple of people that are excellent at teaching and sharing how this is a rather phenomenal digital, pictorial, special language given to in the form of Hebrew. Chuck Mensler, have you heard of him?
Yeah.
You have, Susie. Chuck Mensler formed, well, I met him when I was in the computer business, and he was so intelligent, and he's teaching me this stuff he discovered. He's not a Jew. He's not educated in Hebrew at that time, 20, 30 years ago. But he told me, Mike, the same thing I'm telling you guys. So I said, well, Chuck, it's too much for me to learn. So he said, well, just follow along as I discover and teach it. So Chuck Mensler has a series called the Bible Code. So you can look that up and search it. And I think it's a 3 or 4 part series of approximately an hour to an hour and a half for each one of his teachings. And so there's also a couple little short ones. I think there's a 7-minute one, a 14-minute one that when you look it up, it's worth listening to. The Bible Code, as he calls it. And it's Koinonia as his ministry. Chuck and then Mensler. I think it's Minssler. I'm a terrible speller. Do you know what it is, Susie?
No, I
Or
don't
Brenda?
know. I mean, I've heard of him, yes. Okay.
But he's
Mincer?
very good for us English speaking people to look at it on how this possibly is a digital pictorial language that is supernatural and has power in its names and discovery. Hold on here for a minute. I'm running out of battery. One time I said to God, I don't really understand why
Chuck
Hebrew
Missler,
might.
Missler.
Oh, thank you. Did you look up his
Yeah,
Bible Code series?
I just looked him up right there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there he is. Thank you, Susie.
Mhm.
Well, when Chuck was saying that this is an interesting language, pictorial digital, what digital? Well, I'm computer oriented too, so I got to thinking. I said, how could this possibly be a digital language? Anyway, somewhere along the line in my research or looking for how this language was created and developed, somebody had done a study on the Hebrew letters. I can't remember if it was Paleo, ancient, or modern, but when they spoke different vowels on the oscilloscope, I'll be darned, it resembles the written letters of the Hebrew language. Not all, I can't remember all of them, but and it's hard. Very difficult to find those. So if anybody ever finds how the language shows up on the oscilloscope as a written Hebrew letter, is very, very fascinating to me. So when they said there's power in his name and holy is his name, in the Hebrew language, I believe, or my theory is, or just a thought is, that there's vibrational frequencies that are excellent to come against the powers of darkness, the Luciferian. It's kind of reminds me of the woman that's singing, or whoever the opera person is that's singing Memorex commercial. Guy sitting in his chair.
Yep.
And then you remember, then the glass shatters when
Yep.
she hits or he hits the right frequency. Nikola Tesla, everything is a vibrational frequency. So I think it's important for us to at least consider or maybe even learn Hebrew on how to come against the powers of darkness. I would like to teach that in the next Yeshua film, idea of another Jesus, description and how it ties into Hebrew. And who is this Yeshua? Most people don't have a clue.
I'll tell you what, I have discovered I will never listen to another doctor when they tell me that neuropathy is irreversible, because I found these wonderful thing called tuning forks, and I use them on my foot that has had such bad neuropathy for the last 8 years or so, 7 years, and it's getting a lot better. A lot better.
They
Oh,
make a vibration. They make a sound, don't they?
Yep. I also found out that when my ears start ringing really bad, I have one in there that's very high pitched, and I'll hit that and set that next to my ear, and it makes the ear ringing in my ears go away.
Awesome. I'm glad you guys are discovering the vibrational frequencies. And it's everything from light to music, words we speak.
Yep.
And we bring curses on ourselves by speaking negativity, I'm concerned about. I'm beginning to realize very important that I don't go in and speak curses on myself because the words.
Yeah, I don't say I don't say good morning.
Yeah.
You know, I don't say have a great morning, or you know,
I don't
who wants
usually
to wake
either.
up and start morning, you know, and who
Good
wants to have
morning.
a great morning that day?
Yeah,
Or
I usually
you
don't
know, I'm like,
either. But this
that's
one
like the
called me.
worst word you could say.
This one calls me out of bed. I woke up. I'm like, good morning, because it kind of shocked me that she even called me that early in the morning.
Right.
I was like, wait a
No.
minute.
Let's just say great day. Wonderful day.
It's a
Good day.
beautiful
Nice
day.
day.
The
It's a
rain is
beautiful
falling
day.
and the wind is kicked up and we're fixing to have a tornado, but it's a wonderful day.
It's a wonderful life.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
got to show you the view I'm looking at. It's quite inspirational. I don't know if you can really. Can you? Do you see that out there?
What is that?
I don't know if you can see the city lights.
I
The
see
bay is
lights
in
in the
front of me.
background.
Wow. Yes.
The water is reflecting the lights off, so I'm enjoying this mystical, enchanting kind of
I
background.
will
Beauty out
tell
there,
you
huh?
that is the only thing I miss about California is the beaches at night.
Oh, I'm now in Marina del Rey, if you will, the Venice Beach area.
Yes.
Very interesting group of artists and filmmakers, and it's just beautiful with the waters.
I like Venice Beach. But that's the only thing. I had my life in California was just I turned old enough to leave out on my own and I got out of there as fast as I could. I don't even think I took everything that was mine. I just left. Just, I'm out of here.
Well, I must say, the incredibly difficult to live in this area. A one bedroom, if you want to be out of the ghetto, is like 2,000 to 4,000 a month.
Wow.
It just
For a one bedroom.
unless you, yeah, if you own your own home for 20, 30 years, well, that's not a problem. But
Probably
the
the taxes are just almost that high anyway, huh?
unbelievable.
Yep.
It's not a pleasant place to live if you don't have money.
Yep. I still have family out there and I'm like, y'all need to get out of there before it falls into the ocean.
Yeah.
It probably has already.
They said
Spiritually
you've been
speaking.
saying that for years. I'm like, well, yeah, that's why I moved to Arizona, because eventually I'm going to have oceanfront property.
I don't know, Mike. It looks like a lot of the Hollyweird is leaving the country, so you might, you know, get some good backers
Leaving the
to,
country.
you know, get the
Well,
bad out of there.
I'm most interested in, and it's interesting, the Forrest Gump book that I'm on, that if God wants what I have felt that was given to me as a vision, and really originally founded Fame, Film and Music Entertainment Independent Studios, in the year 2000. And then Mel comes up with his wanting to do his Passion of the Christ one. I have a feeling that God did open my eyes to what he wants me to do. But I'll tell you, I didn't follow the formula that he showed me over a period of time. So there is a formula, and kind of the hint is, if you love me, keep my what? He says,
Commandments.
my
Yeah.
commandments. And of course, he says in the 10 Commandments, it's to love your neighbor as yourself. It's the total love message, and to focus on God totally. So because I am surrounded by an incredibly last temptation.
He says if
Oh
you
my,
love God and you treat
yeah,
people the way you want to be treated, all the other commandments fall into
Or
place.
fulfill.
If you do those two things, then you don't have to even worry about the other commandments, because you're going to always make the right decision. When you love God and you treat people the way you want to be treated, it's a pretty no-brainer.
Right.
What you were saying earlier, too, both of you, with the good versus bad, or if you will, unhealthy behavior and healthy behavior, just watch how they treat or talk about other people. It's not so much their words, but it's really their actions. And then the animals. How do they treat animals? That's about the only way I can kind of get some clues, is how and what they say about other people, what they do in their walk. And it takes time.
Mike,
To
one
really,
thing in the horse industry, because you know about the horses, we always
yeah,
said if he beats his horse, he beats his wife.
yeah, love it. Well, I'm glad you guys have recovered from your drama, from whatever it was, I don't know,
Thank you.
back a
Thank you.
while ago.
We are
Yeah.
glad too.
Yes.
So you're rebuilding the followers and have your what's happened since the last 6
Well,
months?
we didn't lose. We have a lot of followers that have been here even through that. We did not lose them. They're great. We've gained some others. We've
We've been
had,
growing and growing and growing. Yeah.
yeah, and like we said, we're not in any of this for money, for fame. We have 50 people watching and one person gets it. Well, then we've done our job, and
Yeah, we're the
that,
watchmen on the tower is what we are.
yeah. I
We're
mean,
watchmen on the tower.
yeah. So we've just been doing our thing and taking a little time off. I got sick for a while. I was down for like, I don't know, 2.5 weeks. Susie, was it?
Yeah, she was in the hospital. She's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And but just like everything else, I just buck up and just take off and continue. That's what I can do. Because I was so sick that I literally turned around and said, well, Father, if I am done doing what you need me to do, come and get me. I'm ready. I've never said that in the hospital, ever. I've always known I'm out of here. But it was that bad. And well, here I am.
Sounds like total surrender.
Yeah. So here I am. So apparently I'm done. I'm not done.
I'm back, as she says. Hallelujah.
Yeah. And it's okay. And I get hit a little bit here and there. I get under attack because, well, I think that's what happens.
We all do.
I think that good
Yeah.
people, there's just so much that they try, that the evil, wicked side tries to pile on you just to see how you're going to act. See
Mike, you went,
make you fold.
Brenda, when Mike was on, well, we tried to have him on that one show and it ended up, they grabbed you and they arrested you and threw you in a crazy house. And
Forgot about that story.
Oh my God, that was
That's what we
horrific.
said.
It was a full-on attack, every which way.
Full-on attack. It was, it was crazy.
It was
Mike.
a spiritual, behind the
Yes.
scenes kind of thing, working through circumstances. Oh,
Right.
by the way, also I had gotten into an accident where it knocked my teeth out. So I don't know if I'm embarrassed to even talk, but I have to have
Wow.
extensive dental work done. And meantime, I look like the Beverly Hillbilly.
And then,
Yeah,
Mike, the last time you were going to come on too, you got attacked, right?
Yeah, hold on. I think I got. It took me 2 weeks or more to get out of the psychiatric unit they put me in.
Yeah.
I had to get a judge involved who listened to the story and he went, "You're out of here as of afternoon. I demand they release you." And it was all over. Just simply, I went to my physician. She wasn't there. I was feeling dizzy and I didn't want to drive my truck, so I wanted to know why my blood pressure was sky high. Well, the clinical manager that was there, she said, "Well, your doctor's not in. Should we call? I want to call an ambulance to have you transported." I said, "No, I'll drive." No, I said, "No, second thought, I'm not going to drive. I could be a danger to somebody else while driving." So I said, "I'll take a ride to the hospital," and they took me there. My blood pressure was like 200 and something over 100 and what was it, 120. It was
Oh my.
basically that's stroke time.
Oh
And
wow.
then I said it was being induced by some severe pain I had, and all I wanted to do was have them take care of that. Oh no, they decided I was 5150. Don't ask me why. It's another long story.
I
Then I
know it. It
mean,
was just unbelievable.
it sounds totally ludicrous, but if anybody have ever experienced the insanity of dealing with psychiatrists that never even came in and talked to me. Oh, they did a little video thing. Oh, I said, "Well, you guys are pretty nutty." I didn't realize that he was going to take care of me and show me how nutty he was.
You know,
Anyway, it was quite an interesting struggle to get out of this system. And I'm terrified of what happens is when you get older, all of a sudden you begin to find out all of these social workers can deem you to be incompetent, and then you're locked up in their system. They own you.
yeah.
Wow.
So that's
I don't.
another discussion. Is this medical kidnap not only of kids in the foster care system, but
Yeah.
also adults?
I know
Yes.
it's kind of funny because whenever my
Scary.
I get a visit once a year. They have to come, my medical and things like that. They have to come and talk to me, and they ask me questions and off the wall questions, and a lot of times I'll just look at them and say, "Why would you ask me that?" You know, I don't play their game. I'm not doing it. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to tell them something that I know is right, but they're asking you that question just to kind of trick you into,
It's like a trick question. Yeah.
yeah, like, "Oh boy, we need to take her and have her put in a
Here
hospital
comes
for a
Loki
while."
again with his trickster techniques,
Yeah. See, I'll throw my wheelchair out the window and I'll run
It
away.
comes under it's really under the for those who are not crazy, quote unquote, are technically sane. Lucifer likes to change it around for those who have the power over you, the state, if you will, or
Yeah.
the psychiatrist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
It's all manipulation. Yeah.
yeah, it's serious. It's a very serious issue of medical kidnap, whether it be children or adults, older folks, or just like me, just
Yep.
different.
That was crazy. And then the last time you were going to come on, you had a whole series of strange things happening to you. I remember.
Yeah. I'm finally kind of gotten what I call, okay, I understand what I'm under. And this is a spiritual attack. I'm not losing my
Yes.
mind, but my
No.
goodness, my truck engine blows out. That's another one. Both my computers, which I depend heavily on for doing business, both of them failed.
Major
And I was like,
witchcraft. Yeah.
Yep.
oh my word. Anything. Oh, my housing and living arrangements got all topsy-turvy. And of course, one of the biggest stresses in our life is moving or having your car quit. You need to depend upon it in California. You need a
Yeah.
car or a truck.
Right.
Right.
Well, you know, that was one of the reasons why I decided, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait before I schedule the show. And I waited and did it in the middle of the night last night. So what time did I talk to you, Susie? I think I did it about 1:30 in the morning, maybe 2 o'clock.
Right?
I
She's
said,
like,
this time I'm not giving anybody a heads
we're
up.
not giving anybody no heads up to go after Mike. No
There
more
you go.
spiritual attack. No more witchcraft on him.
It was
You know,
a middle
somebody
of the
was
night
spelling you,
text
Mike.
So,
Thank you for your blessings, and may Hashem, or if you will, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, make intervention for all the unknown requests that we have that only the Roush knows. That's
That's
kind of a
right.
slang for the Holy Spirit, if you will.
That's right. But we are at a time. We will have you come back, and I just will not announce it again. I'm gonna wait till
We won't give the devil a chance, Mike.
right. It'll be like a surprise.
Well, I'm delighted to see that. I know I've had some long discussions with Susie. Mind-blowing series of your
Yes.
life's journey. You're the most interesting.
Oh,
And I
thank
don't
you.
know enough about you, Brenda, but if I listen to Susie, the two of you have been through walking through the
We've been
valleys
through
of the
it.
shadows of death.
Yes.
I
Literally.
still have scars on my feet from the coal. So, and I see Andy smiling because he knows I don't have feet. I only have a foot.
Well, maybe we put together a show. I'm going to say Susie and her series. Oh, my word.
Oh, God, we've done it here.
Story after story.
As a matter of fact, everybody likes it. If I have a guest that doesn't show up and I turn around and tell everybody, okay, everybody, it's Susie's story time. They're like, yes. It's great. They love it.
Andy, you're the silent one. Always be concerned about the man who's so silent.
I know, right?
I know him. I know him well. You should be concerned. I know, Andy. Bite me, Brenda. But yeah.
Attack.
Yeah, I know. I don't even know where he is right now. He has disappeared.
Is your talk time over?
It
on the
is.
show?
I'm getting ready to end the show. And everybody, I don't know if we're having a show tomorrow night. I know we didn't have one last night. We'll see. I'm kind of tired. I've been doing some stuff that's just been really wearing me out lately, and
her brother just passed away, and
yeah,
she was planning on going to Arizona, but you might not be going now, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's typical life. And when someone dies, what the caterpillar calls death, the master calls a butterfly, the transformation. But me personally, losing my daughter or my mom and dad and friends, it takes
traumatic.
Yeah.
And I don't get over it. I remember some people when I'm doing my mourning or my depression or whatever it is I'm reflecting on, you don't just get over it.
Yeah.
When you love with your heart misses them. It misses them.
And that day, the day that my brother was supposed to go in for surgery, I had found out that I have stage 3B skin cancer. So I didn't end up telling him because, well, he had enough on his plate to worry about. And then I found out he was going in like I think it was 5 o'clock in the morning. They took him in for surgery, and they removed a blood clot in the back of his knee. And apparently what they didn't know was there was another blood clot, and when they removed that big one, the other one shot straight to his heart. So it ended up, he passed away. So it's
shocking.
Yeah, so I've had to deal with one thing after another, and then I lost that really good friend, and it's been one thing after another.
Roller coaster ride, up and down. Yeah.
It has been. So I just been keeping my peace and kind of staying to myself a little bit. It's been okay. And I really was going to just, like I said, take this whole weekend off and You know, I know that after a while, Denise would have messaged me, "Are you okay?"
But then Susie said, "Let's have Mike on. Let's have
Yeah,
Mike
I
on."
was like, "Okay, last minute, I can do that." That one I can do.
Right.
Because this one we don't need to announce anyways, because they beat up on him if we do. So we'll just do this silently.
Mike, you know, you've been under spiritual attack a lot, so I knew you could relate to that, you know.
Yeah, another one that's having a hard time right now, y'all keep him in your prayers, is Tommy. He's just been having
Tommy Edwards.
yeah, he's been having all kinds of cuckoo stuff going
And I'm
on.
not the only one. It seems like every one of the children of God that I know, those who really, I feel that I see their heart, like God, only God can judge our hearts, you know, as far as what's going on. But it seems like every single one of them that are strong believers are under unbelievable attack, and that seems to tie right into the revelations.
I figured something out. I told Susie. A good friend of mine, Dennis Carroll, sent me a pendant of the 7 archangels, and it was blessed and anointed before it got to me. The day that I got it and I put it on, that's when all this stuff just started rolling downhill, like, And I'm like, no, you know, I'm going to keep my peace. And I don't care who likes it and who doesn't.
There you go. Hold on to that piece. Yeah.
And, you know, and I've gotten to the point right now where my circle is going to stay extremely small. I told Susie the other day, we're just going to have to really keep it tiny and tight, because if you're going to get angry over dreams and you're going to walk away from me and walk out of my life, so be it. Goodbye. Have a good time, because I cannot stress how much of my peace that I allowed this last week, that I allowed it to eat up. And all it did was make me feel worse. And I thought, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to laugh at it. That's it. So be it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't have to beg anybody to stay in my life. You don't want to stay in my life, move on. You know, that's just the opinion that I have to keep my own sanity. That's the way it works. And this is how this girl's going to act from now on. So, on that note, everybody, thank you, Mike, for coming. We finally got you in.
Thank you for blessing me, guys.
And
we have to have you back again.
Yes, we will definitely have you back again.
To continue this conversation. Yes.
Julie says, please have him back. Julie totally enjoyed you. Denise did too. She was like, that's awesome. Hi, Norma.
Well,
I didn't get to say hi
I'm
to
certainly
Norma.
delighted to show up on your show and watch the progress. So I'm proud of you guys for continuing on despite the opposition.
We've been kicked a few times, but we just limp on and keep on going. That's about the best way to overcome the demons. We'll just smudge it in their face. We don't care.
Right.
Yeah. Susie and I together, we just smack them in the face. That's all there is to it. So, but all right, everybody, we are going to go. If I do have a show tomorrow night, it'll show up on your notifications. Everybody, please hit that thumbs up. And we are going to go. And like always, please be kind to one another. You have a good night.
Good night. God bless everybody.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.